We all know Triple Tap is a great perk for extra DPS on a boss, but how many additional shots are you actually getting when it comes from using the perk? Let's do the math. We know that for any perk that runs Triple Tap, it follows this simple rule. The total number of shots we're going to be able to fire without reloading is equal to the number of bullets in the mag plus the total number of bonus shots that Triple Tap is going to give us. So our goal today is to figure out how many bonus shots we're actually going to get, and that will give us our total number of shots we can have for DPS. So let's run through an example. Let's say we start with a gun that has 5 bullets in the magazine. So in total, we're going to keep track of how many total shots we fired, and this other thing that we're going to call a triple tap counter. Now what this is going to be is basically what happens with Bungie behind the scenes of how they keep track of how many bullets you fired in a row before triple tap procs. So right now this counter starts at 0. So let's fire a bullet and see what happens. Our total number of shots will go up by 1, the magazine will reduce by 1, and the triple tap counter will add 1, indicating that we fired 1 shot. So let's do this again. We fire another 1, 2, 3. We end up with 3 left in the magazine. Counter goes up by 1. We shoot another one, and we have 2 left in the magazine. The counter now hits 3. Okay, so this is where the magic happens. The triple tap has now told us that we have hit 3 shots in a row because we are the ultimate DPS. So now what that's going to do, it's just going to add +1 to our number of shots in the magazine. So this is actually going to become 3. And now our counter gets reset to be 0. And we start the process again. We fire off an additional 3 shots. So now we have 2, 1, 0. Total number of shots goes to 4, 5, 6. And the counter goes 1, 2, 3. And here we are again. The counter indicates 3, adds +1 to here, to the magazine to give us 1, and now is reset to 0. And our final shot is fired, giving us 7 total shots and 0 in the magazine. Okay, so for the example of 5 in the magazine, when we have triple tap, we know that our bonus number of shots is going to be 2. So we've done this example with 5. How do we get this with every other magazine? Let me show you. So what we need to know is what happens every time triple tap procs. Well, every time it procs, we're going to have a few things happen. Is that 1, our total number of shots we're going to have fired is 3. We're going to have 3 additional shots that we fired. Our magazine is going to be reduced by 3. And triple tap is going to give us 1 additional shot back into the magazine. And this happens every single time we get a bonus shot. So every time triple tap procs, what's happening to the magazine? Well, it's getting reduced by 3, and it's going to get 1 additionally back in it. So we know at the end, when this loop is done, we're going to have M minus 2 times the number of bonus shots we got from triple tap. Subtract 3 from it. Every time you get a bonus shot, you subtract 3, you add 1, we subtract 2 each time, times the number of bonus shots we get. So when is this loop, we're finally not going to get any more triple taps to proc, is when it is less than 3, right? If you have less than 3 bullets, after triple tap have just procced, you're no longer going to get an additional shot. So when we rearrange this, we're going to find that the number of bonus shots we get is the total number of bullets in the magazine minus 3 over 2. However, the number of bonus needs to be an integer for this specifically. So what that means is that the total number of bonus shots we're going to get is the next integer up from this. And this is technically written in this funny notation, where this just means the floor of whatever it is. So remove all the decimals afterwards and round down. So that means B is going to be the number of shots in the magazine minus 1 over 2 after we round down. So now, after we're done our calculations, this is the number of bonus shots we get, so the total amount of shots happens here. This is where triple tap gets very interesting in terms of how we calculate things, and it breaks off into two particular scenarios. So let's look at them. So the first scenario is that the magazine is odd, right? So when we have an odd number of shots in the magazine, what happens? This technically doesn't need any rounding whatsoever, so we remove the rounding from it because -1 will be an even divided by 2, so we get m plus m minus 1 over 2. And we simplify this to basically get 3 over 2 times the number of shots in the magazine minus 1/2. But what happens when it's even? So when we have an even number, we have to do something special. Because this is going to have an additional 0.5 with it, we have to subtract it. So technically now we're going to have m plus m minus 1 over 2 minus 1/2. And when we get to this, we're going to have t is equal to 3 over 2m minus 1. So now we have our formula. We know the total number of bonus shots we're going to get is m minus 1 over 2, rounded down, just to make sure in case it is even or odd. So let's go through some examples of what the type of magazine is going to look like and the number of bonus shots you get. So when you fire off 3, I'm going to get 3 minus 1 over 2. That's just 1. When I do 4, I'm going to get 1 as well. When I get 5, I'm going to get 2. 6 is 2. 7 is 3. And 8 is 3. So now we count the total number of shots we're going to get. At a magazine of 3, we're going to be able to fire off 4 shots. At 4, we're going to be able to fire off 5. At 5 shots, we can fire off 7. At 6, we can fire off 8. 7, we can fire 10. And 8, we can fire 11. And now's where we start to notice a pattern with this. So now, every time we get an odd number, we get an additional bonus shot that we can fire. And this is true for all types of guns that you have that have triple tap on it. So what happens? Every time you get an odd number, you end up getting a bonus bullet to fire from triple tap. So now comes the greatest discussion of all, is choosing between Vorpal and an extra bullet in the magazine using backup mag. And what we find from realizing with this formula is that if you get to go from an even to an odd number, it is worth it to use backup mag. If you already have 5 in the magazine, it is not worth it to add backup to it because you do not get a bonus shot. So let's summarize. The total number of bonus shots you get from triple tap is going to be n minus 1 over 2, rounded down in the case of an even number. And we know that when it comes to choosing between backup mag and Vorpal, it is only worth it to do backup mag if it makes it an odd number. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you want to see more Destiny related math, feel free to follow along and comment what you want to see next.